Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name's Shadowwraith and today I'm going to be talking about how well is Death Guard going to do in the new edition of Warhammer 40k. And this is kind of my opinion, but along with what other people have said, hearsay, other lists I've seen people whip together along with my lists and my takes. I play quite differently to a lot of people, but I do still take feedback from people who have done really well at events. So, first of all, the new points. Everything's gone up pretty much across the board for most armies, but we did get some really good bargains. Now, I think probably one of the best bargains I can think of that we got, the Mephitic and Blight Haulers. They went down by 2 points, just 2 points, but that's massive since everything else has gone up. Like the bloat drones, they went up by like 20 points, which is absolutely nuts, I think. 20 sounds about right. No, 11. 11 points. What am I talking about? Ignore me. 11 points I went up by. But that's still not too bad. Blight Lord Terminators only went up 2 points, you know. What else have we got? The Foul Blight Spawn went up by 8 points, which isn't too bad. Plague Marines only 2 points. Pox Walkers went up 2 points. We've not been too bad, to be honest. Typhus only 10 points, which isn't that bad. Lord of Contagion is only 5 points, and he's a beast. The Demon Prince of Nurgle with Wings and Hellforged Sword went up by 15 points, or Talons went up by 20 points. So it's not. We haven't really been hit too hard on the points. Mortarion went up by 20 points, but like the amount of points you're paying for him anyway, who cares? So yeah, we're not too bad in the points department. We're not too bad on the secondary objectives, because I think there's going to be a lot of secondary objective play with Death Guard. So, I mean, Purge the Enemy, you're fine for killing stuff. Death Guard are alright at killing stuff. Absolutely. No Mercy, No Respite they're quite good. They're very good at clearing weaker hordes, and that can thin their ranks. A solid pick, but I think it's more suited to attrition. With the right builds, of course, because Death Guard are very good at taking a hit and killing more. Because you're not going to kill more Death Guard than they're going to kill Marines if you've got a solid enough list. The only exceptions are like more elite armies like Knights or something. And it should go without saying, but Warcraft, you should be fine. You should be fine. There's loads of Psykers. In my list anyway, there are a bunch of Psykers. I've got Mortarion, Typhus himself, Malignant Plaguecaster. Yeah, absolutely fine. But now, moving on. Here are some lists and ideas and then some tactics that I've come up with. Now, straight onto the lists. I basically picked my favourite list that came from some other place. A list that has been floating around that I like the idea. Basically, you've got Mortarion in the Supreme Command detachment. And he's going to be your Warlord. 490 points for that bad boy. And we've got a Death Guard Battalion, which is a Demon Prince of Nurgle with Wings and a Hellforged Sword, 195 points. Chaos Lord with Chainsword and a Combi Belter for 103 points. Troops, we've got Plague Marines, times 9 with Bolters. Spammed it 3 times, so you've got 3 sets of 9 Marines with 2 sets of 9 Marines with Bolters, 2 sets, and then 1 set of 5 Marines with Bolters. And then we've got Plague Surgeon with the Bale Sword, 65 points. And then Alchemical Narthcium it costs you 1 command point. And basically what that does is it improves your Plague Surgeon. You've got to go for the Mortarion's Chosen Sons. So that's your faction bonus, your sub-faction. And you use the stratagem before the battle, select 1 Plague Surgeon, 4 Mortarion's Chosen Sons. Until the end of the battle, replace the model's ability with the ability that follows. When making disgustingly resilient rolls for friendly Mortarion Chosen Sons infantry models, whilst within 3 inches of this model, you can reroll 1s and 2s, which makes them a hell of a lot tougher, because it's usually just 1s for a Plague Surgeon. It makes them 1s and 2s. Absolutely fantastic, and it makes them hard as nails. Really, really does. A Foul Blight Spawn is in this list as well. Of course, a Foul Blight Spawn is absolutely insane 85 points. Basically, what he does is, if you get charged and they're within 7 inches of this guy, they don't count as having charged, so they get none of the bonuses. They don't get strike first, they don't get any charge bonuses for lances or whatever. They might have, the Marines +1 attack on the charge and all that good stuff. None of that. So, and with the new rules in 9th, your opponent, so if it's your enemy's turn and they charge you, you get to pick a unit first. So yeah, before they even get to strike. So they can charge into your, combat plague marines, squad of 10 or whatever. You can fight first. Ridiculous. And it's especially good if you're sat on an objective. And then we've got 3 plague burst crawlers with heavy sluggers and plague spitters. 170 points each, which is actually quite cheap. And then we've got an assault drill for 136 points, and then a contaminated monstrosity for you give him contaminated monstrosity for -1 CP. What that does is that model basically gains disgustingly resilient. So that is really, really strong. I like the fact that you use a lot of plague marines. I like the fact. So yeah, and you come with 9 CPs. So yeah, because you just start with a set amount of CPs, and then you get your first battalion for free, along with the Supreme Command attachment is also free, because you usually have to pay command points, as long as the guy in your Supreme Command detachment is your Warlord. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. The only thing I'd change with that is one of the lists that I've been working on is it involves a lot of Plague Marines as well. And I do like close combat Plague Marines. They seem quite good, especially with a lot of the CPs you can use with them. But I'm all happy with Mortarian's Chosen Sons. Sure, make them tough as nails. But on top of that, if I put maybe, instead of the Plague Burst Crawlers, because they're good, they are good, don't get me wrong, but I like the Blight Haulers, because they all count as being cover. So all your toughness 5 Plague Marines now have a 2-up save from shooting, which is fantastic. On top of that, they've got discussion resilience save that they can reroll 1s and 2s for. For 1 command point, I can give the Blight Haulers, a Blight Hauler, -1 AP for all enemy units that are within 7 inches of it. So if my Death Guard Close Combat Marines are fighting a unit of Terminators, and they're also within 7 inches of my Blight Hauler, all their attacks count as -1 AP. And it depends how heavy you want to go on this, because you can literally completely go nuts with your Marines. You can make each 6 to hit, cause a mortal wound. You can give them all an additional attack with Trench Fighters for 1 command point. You can also, for 2 command points, make them ridiculously hard to kill, and you add 1 to the disgustingly resilient rolls. So yeah, as long as there's 10 of them. So they're passing on a 4+, rerolling 1s and 2s near the Plague Surgeon. So yeah, that's another list. The last thing I was thinking of, and tell me if you disagree, which is fine, because I haven't tested this yet. This is theory. This is theory hammer right now. I love Pox Walkers. Okay? I always use Pox Walkers because I like Typhus, I like the lore, so I use Pox Walkers. Plus I painted 90 of them, so I'm going to use them. My list at the moment, this is just the basics. I'm not going to give grand total of points or anything like that. But obviously you've got Typhus there to give your Pox Walkers +1/+1 strength and toughness. So the strength and toughness 4. Yep. Then you can use Putrescent Vitality to make them strength toughness 5, which is ridiculous on its own. Okay, I haven't used any command points yet. That's just a psychic power. Now, I can use a psychic power to give them Blaze of Putrefaction, to give them +1 to wound, if I really want to. Or I can use Veterans of the Long War. So, it depends. You can try the psychic power first. If that fails, use the command point. They're now +1 to wound at strength 5. Okay, so you wounded Marines on 2s. Like a Marine equivalent. Then, if you keep wanting to spend if you keep wanting to spend command points on this unit of Pox Walkers, you can either go for Mutant Strain which you use a stratagem when a Pox Walker unit from your army is chosen to fight until the end of the phase. When resolving attacks with melee weapons made against an infantry unit, an unmodified wound roll of a 6 inflicts 1 mortal wound, but if you roll an unmodified roll of a 1, you take a mortal wound. Or you can go with Creeping Blight. Okay? Same price, 1 command point. And until the end of the phase, when resolving attacks made by weapons, that are in this unit, you get to add 1 to the damage roll for that attack. And on an unmodified wound roll of a 6, the AP is -4 for that attack. So, if I'm reading this right, add 1 to the damage roll made by this attack is just add 1 to the damage. If I'm wrong, do tell me, because that's fine. But that means they're doing 2 damage per swing. If they roll a 6, it's -4 AP. If I stick them near a Blight Hauler, and I do the Parasitic Fumes, it's an additional -1. So, at the worst, even if I don't use this, I'm still +1 to wound with my Pox Walkers. Okay, 7-point models. A strength 5, +1 to wound. -1 AP because of the Parasitic Fumes. And each 6 does a mortal wound, or is -4 AP, which will be -5 if I use Creeping Blight. And they're 2 damage. So, yeah, just saying, the amount of damage that you can theoretically put out from, say, a 70-point unit or a 140-point unit if you do 20 is absolutely bonkers. Just there. That's pretty much all I've got to say. So, how many command points would that cost? Well, best case scenario, 2 command points. 2 command points. 1 for the Parasitic Fumes, for the Blight Hauler, and then 1 command point for even Creeping Blight, if I am correct in assuming that I'll do 2 damage. And 1 CP for Mutant Strain, which inflicts a mortal wound on an unmodified roll of a 6. So yeah, Pox Walkers, 2 attacks each. They're hitting on 4s, and I've always got a Tallyman in my list, so they're re-rolling to hit. Okay, that's why I keep them blobs of 20, because they hit better at 10 or more models. So hit on 4s. Re-rolling, wounding marine equivalents on 2s. Each 6 either does -4 AP, and each swing does 4 damage. It'll be -5 AP with the Blight Hauler nearby. Or each 6 does a mortal wound. And all normal attacks do -1 AP because of the Blight Hauler. Yeah. Just food for thought there. That's my list, in my head. I'm going to trial it. I'll let you know how it goes. I've got an event coming up. It's only a little one, 1,000 points, but I'll trial it. That's why I thought Pox Walkers, because they're quite cheap. I know they're 7 points, and everyone's saying the time of the Pox Walker is at an end, but I refuse. I painted all those models. I'm going to try and use them. If they don't work, they don't work, and I'll buy some more Plague Marines. But they're my thoughts. That's my thoughts. Let me know what you think. If you think I'm completely crazy, completely wrong, do tell me. Say, no, you can't use Pox Walkers. They're not competitive. Sure. That's fine. You can tell me that. I'm still going to try them. And if I come to the same assumption, then yeah, I won't do it. I'll try it at smaller events and then build my way up to big events when events start happening again. And we'll go from there, really. But I do like the idea of the Plague Marines. Seeming extremely tough. Everything's about midfield, grabbing the objectives and staying alive. So Plague Marines are probably the way to go. But I do like Pox Walkers. Anyway, thank you ever so much for listening. If you enjoyed the video, do hit the like button so I know you enjoyed it. And if you're feeling especially saintly and Grandpapa Nouveau is shining his disgusting light upon you, like he did me, giving me laryngitis, which is why I put up no videos recently, then maybe even consider subscribing. But if you don't do either of those things, I still hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.